Now that we have holes punched in our 4 panels, it's time to prepare our yarn and stitch them together. Please cut 4 pieces of yarn that are about 3 feet long. I have my 3-foot one. I'm measuring my 4th piece of yarn. I'm going to snip it. And then to make it easier to stitch, I make a little needle out of tape on the end of each piece of yarn. Take a little piece of masking tape, line it up with the end of your yarn, pinch and neatly roll it so that it has created a slender needle. Do that with all 4 pieces. And you're ready to stitch. So now I'm going to take one piece of my yarn and I'm going to stitch my first 2 sides together. As I look at my panels, I can visualize how it's going to look. These 2 are going to be next to each other, these 2 will be next to each other, these 2 will be next to each other, and this one will also be next to each other. So these sides will be stitched together, as will these 2, and then the ones on each end. So my first 2 panels, these are the good sides, the front sides of my panels. If I flip them, these are the back sides. To stitch them together, I take them lined up, tops, bottoms, and I put the bad sides or the back sides together so that I see a front side and a front side. That way when I stitch them together and open it up, I will see front sides on both sides. So now that they're lined up neatly, I'm going to start stitching. Take my yarn and I'm going to tie it to the very bottom hole. Remember, you need to start at the bottom of every single panel. So I pull it all the way through, pull the yarn all the way through till I get to the very end, and I'm going to tie a square knot. I'm going to cross the little over the big, the little over the long one, and then I'm going to put the little string through the hole, pull tight. Then I'm going to cross the little over the big again, put the little one through the hole, and pull tight. That is a basic square knot. Now I'm ready to stitch my 2 panels together. Remember, I've got the front side and the front side showing on both sides. My back sides are both hidden. I'm going to take the yarn and I'm going to do a whip stitch. A whip stitch is when I go through the same direction every single time. So I'm going to start on the front on every hole and pull it all the way through the back. Start on the front, pull all of my yarn through the back. I'm going to go back to the front, grab and pull all of my yarn through the back. Start on the front, pull all the way through the back. Start on the front, pull all the way through the back. Do that for every hole all the way up. Remember, we're starting on the bottom and we're going to the top. All the way through, all the way through, and all the way through. When you're done stitching a side, take the yarn, start at the bottom, and just give it a gentle tug so that we get any of our slack, any looseness out of the yarn. The whole stitching should be nice and snug. There shouldn't be extra thread dangling anywhere, and when I open it up, it should not be able to lay flat. If it can lay flat, it's probably too loose. Once I get to the top, I'm just going to tie it off a little bit. I'm going to take my yarn needle, I'm going to loosen that very top loop and just stick the yarn needle through that loop, pulling tight, and that will secure it so that it doesn't loosen while I'm working on the rest. All my extra yarn should be off the top. That's going to allow me to tie my lantern and suspend it from the ceiling. All right, now here comes the tricky part. I'm going to stitch the next 2 together. So I'm going to open it up, and because this side is going to get stitched to this side, I need to put these back sides together. So I make sure I line up the back side of my fish panel with the back side of my flower panel. I line up their holes. It's a little trickier because I have this 3rd panel who's just hanging out. But when my holes are all neatly lined up, I'm going to start stitching. I'm going to do the same thing. Put my yarn through the hole, pull it tight until it reaches the end, tie a square knot, short over long through the hole, short over long through the hole, pull tight. And then I'm going to tie my whip stitch, starting at the bottom, working to the top. I go in both holes, pull through, in, put the back side with the back side so that when it's stitched together, front, 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 front are all showing. Okay, now I'm gonna do the last side. I have all 4 panels stitched together. I now have to stitch together the last 2 panels. All my extra strings should be coming out of the top. I'm going to line up the wrong side, so the back side and the back side of these last 2, and I'm going to stitch them together following the same procedure. Bring all 4 strings together and bring it a little bit above the lantern. And then we're going to tie a knot. This type of knot, we're going to take all 4 strings, twist them into a loop, and then pull all of the ends through that loop. So I put my fingers in the loop and I grab all 4 ends, I pull them all through, and then gently tighten that knot. I like to do 2 of these knots in a row, so I'm going to move a little bit up so that I have a little bit of space to hang this on a hook. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cross my strings, make a loop, put my fingers through the loop so that I can grab all 4 strings, and pull those 4 strings through the loop. Gently tighten that knot, and then I can snip off all my extra string above that knot. My lantern should now be able to hang nicely from the ceiling. There you go.